Oh, great. Just what we need. Another Dark Souls clone.
Soren! To me! Reinforcements!
Whoa. No way. This game actually tells a story. Whoa.
Don't fuck with me.
I can't do anything. Oh, my balls. Ah! Hey guys, I'm so sorry it took me this long to get out a Nioh review. Because first of all, the game was really long. It took me like 70 hours to beat it, including most of the side missions. And second of all, I actually didn't get the game until like 10 days after it came out, because at first I didn't think much of the game. I thought it was just kind of another Souls clone, and as you already know, I was kind of fatigued out of Dark Souls. Dark Souls 3 didn't do anything for me, uh, but I decided to do a little bit of research on Nioh, watched a few YouTube videos, and I was wrong. I saw a lot of differences in a lot of areas, so I decided to pick it up, and I do not regret my purchase. Um, it's really, really phenomenal in almost every area. Um, First off, I miss the Onimusa games. I miss the Tenchu games. I miss a lot of those games that take place in feudal Japan and have civil wars and stuff like that. So Neo brought that back. It was kind of like an answer to my prayers almost. Of spending a decade without any Onimusha or Tenchu. Um, so yeah. Now, as you already know, or as you've already seen, Nioh has actual storytelling. Unlike Dark Souls, where it was just kind of item lore, um, Nioh actually tells you a story, and I really love the story. It's not too complex, it's like your basic revenge story. You hunt down a guy who stole something from you, and you get it back eventually. But it does get more complicated over time. You track the man down in Japan, and the whole thing is just you're trapped in like this huge civil war. Between one faction and another, and a lot of it is based on real wars, and it is based on a real era. The main character, William Adams, is actually based on a real Western samurai named William Adams, who's actually the first Englishman to travel to Japan. And the story was so freaking epic. The way it was told often felt like a movie. The cutscenes and whatnot. I thought they were a surprisingly big budget for a game that has gameplay like Dark Souls. And I love the authenticity of it. I love how every Japanese person speaks Japanese, and every English person speaks English. And I believe it's like that in all versions of the game around the world, or at least I hope so. I love the authenticity of it. Um, One thing that confuses me though is is William speaks English, but everyone else speaks Japanese. Yet for some reason they know they can still communicate. Do they know each other's language, but choose to exchange conversations in their own language. That's the only thing that doesn't really make sense to me. I have a theory that involves them actually reading or translating his thoughts through his guardian spirit. That's the only real explanation. Now, I'll talk about the guardian spirit thing later.
お主のことを海賊と落とす者もおればまれびとと崇める者もおる。ここは一つお主の誠を聞かせてくれるか。
I told Ieyasu that I came to Japan in pursuit of Kelly, the man who stole Saoirse from me. And told him about Amrita as well.
ほう、守護霊を取り戻すか。ケリーとやらがわしを狙っとるとなれば現れるやもしれんの。半蔵ともども護衛も好きにいたせ。
はっ。
じゃが戦のある限り霊石を狙う輩、お主の守護霊を欲しがる輩はいくらも現れよ。のうアンジよ、戦のないよ作れると思うか。
A world without war.
It's not open world. Instead, it has this really unique looking open map that resembles Japan. That you travel, you travel throughout Japan almost. And the missions are stage selected. And each level, or almost every level, has an end boss. There are side missions, and the side missions actually take place in the same places. You revisit these areas for side missions, so it's kind of like backtracking almost. There are also Twilight missions, which are basically harder versions of those main missions. You have that dojo-looking place that, where you can use the shrine to upgrade your level. You can level up. You can also sacrifice loot, any undesired loot, and trust me, there's going to be a lot of loot in the game you won't need. You can sacrifice them to get more XP, or you could go to the blacksmith and sell the loot for money. The souls aren't currency. The game actually has real currency, and the souls are separate for leveling up. So that's a good thing to me, in my opinion. Other things that you can do at the shrine include, and keep in mind the shrine is also available throughout every mission. You find shrines as checkpoints, kind of like bonfires. There are also Kodama blessings that slightly increase item drop rates, whether it's weapons, armor, healing items, stuff like that, depending on your choice. And for the blacksmith, you can buy and sell items. You can forge items. You can improve the durability of items, which I never really found a use for since I always kept finding better loot anyway. You can also change your hair, your hair and your beard later on when you buy enough things at the blacksmith. It opens up, and so on and so forth. You get the gist. And for the dojo, they have these training missions where you get to learn how to play the game. And there are also some challenge missions, like mastery missions, where you get to where your trainers challenge you to fights, and when you win, you get more rewards and stuff like that. So that's cool. There's also this tea house thing. Now this is like the online shop of the game. You get glory from killing online players, as well as killing revenants online and offline. I don't have PS Plus, so I wasn't able to fight online players. However, I could still get glory from killing offline revenants. Or I think you can kill online revenants of people without needing PS Plus. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, this is the online shop. You get to buy certain items, and that's fascinating. And now I want to talk about the depth of the combat. It is unbelievably more deeper than anything I've ever played in a very long time, probably even ever. First of all, there are 5 different types of weapons. There's swords, twin blades, spears, axes, and ball and chain. I can't really pronounce this word. I just call it ball and chain. My personal favorites were the sword and the spear for mid-range and long range. But they all work in different ways, and they all serve a good purpose. Even the axe, it's heavy, strong attacks, but they're slow. Twin blades are fast attacks but weak, and so on and so forth. Um, they all have different combos, though. Every time you use a different weapon, it really feels like you're playing a different, melee fighting game. It's so deep. Everything has its own mechanic. Um, there are also different stances. There's the low stance where you have fast, weaker attacks. There's the mid stance, which is normal, and then there's the high stance, which has like these powerful strong attacks, and it just gives deeper strategies on how to defeat your enemies, depending on what those enemies are. Um, it's so deep, and every weapon has its own combo, and you actually get to set different like moves at the end of each combo, and it's so deep. I can't really express in words how deep it just is. You need to play this game, and you really need to experience it. Um, Truly a unique game when it comes to combat. There's just way too much for me to talk about regarding that. Every every human enemy has its own, stamina bar, and when it runs out of stamina, it gets stunned. He or she gets stunned, and you can perform execution moves on them. There's also the drop attacks from Dark Souls. This game actually has enemy gore in it. You can cut the heads off of people and arms and legs. And it's a lot. In my opinion, the combat is actually more akin to Ninja Gaiden than it is Dark Souls. I feel like the only reason why a lot of people compare it to Dark Souls is because of the camera angle. The camera angle and the way things are just set up, and the way the enemies are set up for you to ambush you and shit, and the enemy damage output. It does feel like Dark Souls in that regard, but it feels like it's such a pleasant mix of Bloodborne and Ninja Gaiden especially. I just love the way William fights, the way he moves, and it feels like you're playing as just a real swordsman, a real expert fucking badass. And that was something that was kind of missing in Dark Souls, where you're just playing as some random dude. William Adams is awesome. He's like a younger version of Geralt from The Witcher. I loved playing as him. His moves are awesome. He is an unstoppable motherfucker at times. It's nice to finally play as a real character who has all these awesome abilities and knows how to effectively use a weapon of any kind. Unlike Dark Souls, where you create a nameless loser with a tiny head who doesn't even know how to use any weapons. He just swings it fucking left and right, fucking pokes people. No fucking combos, just swings left and right, recklessly, until his stamina bar is depleted.
Hey guys, how's it going? I know how to swing a bat now. Yeah. Yeah, anyone want a piece of me? Anyone want a piece of me? Look at me. I can swing a bat. Yay. Oh, I'm gonna teach that cardboard a lesson. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. 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 Master, I think I'm ready to take you on. Come get me. Okay, bring it on. Ding. Come on, man. You want a piece of me? Huh? You want a piece of me? I'll see you a piece. Yeah. Oh. 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 Oh.
I want to talk about the controls of this game. Alright? in Dark Souls, um, regular attack was R1, and strong attack was R2. Um, in this game, it is square for light attack and triangle for heavy attack, like it is in The Witcher 3. Because of this, it is so much easier to aim and shoot with a bow or rifle. It's basically L2 and R2, like a shooter. It's that simple. I feel like the controls in Dark Souls, for a game so basic in terms of combat, it kind of overcomplicated it on the control scheme. Where I remember in Dark Souls 1, I had to like press up on the directional pad to activate first-person free aiming, and it was so clunky and stupid. And I just thought to myself, wow, the controls are so bad, you know. Nioh is so much better in regards to controls. It's just so much smoother. Block is still L1 in both Nioh and From Software's games. L1 is block. So yeah, that's cool. So I feel like it's just so much better. In this one, R1 is actually changing your melee weapon and range weapon. Horizontal to change your melee weapon, and vertical to change your ranged weapon. Whether it's a bow, rifle, or a fucking hand cannon. That's right, this game has hand cannons, and they're pretty damn powerful. Yeah, man, it's awesome. There is the Guardian Spirits. I don't know much about these things in terms of lore, but they're pretty fucking awesome. You activate these elemental spirits that make you invulnerable for a brief time while you just destroy everything in your path. Or, in my case, attempt to destroy everything in my path. There were a few times when I used this really powerful thing. It kind of reminds me of like Altered Beast. Power up! There are times when an enemy hits me and that causes you to deplete the bar. Like, if an enemy hits you while you do it, even though you're vulnerable, your key, they call it a key bar or KI bar, it depletes faster if you get hit. So even though you're invulnerable, it's still a better idea to evade. A lot of times it felt like it got me killed a lot. You know, every time the Guardian Spirit stopped, it left me in a very vulnerable and exposed part that caused me to die in a lot of areas. So I felt like there were a lot of times when I didn't need it. It was better to be safe and slow during a boss fight than to go all out and use this. But again, it's still a really awesome thing, and it makes you feel freaking unstoppable, even if only for 5 to 10 seconds. It's really kick-ass. In post-game content, you can actually level up your Guardian Spirits, which is really nice. There are different elements of the Guardian Spirits. There are fire, water, lightning, earth. I feel like I'm missing something. There might be another one that I'm missing. But yeah, the different elements. New Game Plus is here. When you beat the game, only New Game Plus has its own separate map. So you can actually go back to the regular playthrough after doing some New Game Plus missions. It's really cool. There's nothing missable about this game whatsoever. You can just find anything you've missed. You don't have to worry about it, which is amazing. The music is very incredible.
太平の世再び巡り合うことがあれば見せたいものじゃ。
Again, the aesthetics, a very authentic Japanese look. It features a lot of real historical figures and leaders of the feudal Japan period, such as Tokugawa Ieyasu, and my personal favorite, coming from an Onimusa fan, Oda fucking Nobunaga is in this game. Come on. It also has demons from real Japanese mythology and urban legends. This game also has different graphical modes. You can change, the frame rate It gives you that much freedom with the game. Even your equipped armor actually shows up in most cutscenes. You know how in most games when you wear a specific type of armor and it just doesn't show up, in the cutscenes, you still have the generic looking armor. This is one of the few games I've played where it actually does that. It's not a perfect game, There were a couple times when the lock-on and camera gave me a little bit of issues, especially when faced with a lot of different enemies closing in on you at once. It was kind of overwhelming. Again, this only happened a couple times. And of course, because it's a hard game, there are, quote, bullshit moments due to the difficulty and, almost killing a boss and dying from that boss while he only has a sliver of health left and stuff like that. And there are times when I screamed bloody murder just because of how fucking close I was. It pissed me off. But I was eventually able to conquer everything, and it was a very satisfying game. It was just as satisfying as anything From Software ever cooked up. Nioh is one of the very few games I've ever played that never gave me any considerable flaws or complaints throughout my 70-hour experience so far. I mean, I really can't think of anything really wrong with it. The story of Nioh is actually loosely based on an unfinished script written by legendary Japanese film director Akira Kurosawa. If you don't know who he is, perhaps you've heard of his most iconic movie, Seven Samurai, way back in the 1950s. And it makes me wonder how awesome it would be to see this as a movie. A lot of the cutscenes are so well done and well shot that it actually did make me feel like I was being immersed in this epic feudal Civil War movie that Kurosawa dreamed of, but unfortunately he passed away before he was able to make anything of it. I'm just glad that Team Ninja was actually able to make his dream come to life in this exquisite, unique, amazing video game. Nioh is my dream come true. It is a Souls-like game, but with an actual narrative instead of item lore, and with even deeper, richer combat. Combine this with epic storytelling, an incredible soundtrack, and with themes and aspects that satisfy my crave for long-gone series such as Onimusha and Tenchu. This has probably turned into one of my favorite video games of all time already. That is saying a lot. My final score for Nioh is a 10 out of 10. This is only the second game I've ever reviewed on my channel that I've given a 10. The first being Child of Light 3 years ago. It fused together some of the greatest action series of all time, Dark Souls, Ninja Gaiden, Onimusha, and even some level elements of the stealth series Tenchu in terms of level design, and used them all to form one of the most well-made action games ever created. I doubt there will be another game this year that stole my heart the way that Nioh has. I believe that this is one of the greatest action RPGs of all time. And I think you owe it to yourself to try it. Even if you suck at Dark Souls, because there are a lot of spots where I thought that it was actually easier than anything From Software has made. I feel like because of how deeper the combat was and how much more you can do, I felt like that gave you an advantage over what you can do and the obstacles that you faced. So I feel like overall it wasn't as hard as Dark Souls, or maybe even not even as hard as Bloodborne. I think you owe it to yourself to at least try to get yourself into this game. Now, when I first bought it, I had a lot of trouble even finding the game. Within its first 10 weeks, I understand it actually sold out of Amazon. I looked for it at Best Buy, Target, Walmart. None of them had it. I had to go to GameStop, unfortunately, to find one fucking copy of the game. So hopefully Sony will ship more copies, or hopefully they already have shipped more copies. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy it on the PlayStation Store for $60. But you know what? Even if you can't find a hard copy, it is still worth buying digitally. It's that good. That's saying a lot coming from a person who hates digital games. Yeah, it's one of the greatest action RPGs I've ever played. This will most likely end up being my game of the year. I highly doubt there's going to be anything that's going to make me fall in love uh, the way I've fallen in love with Nioh. And I will continue to play this game throughout the coming months. And yeah, I guess that's it, guys. Such an incredible video game. Outstanding. Out fucking standing. Um, Easily one of the most unique games I've ever played. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, I hope you try it out. And thank you very much for watching.
I dreamt of becoming a samurai so that I could fight for Lord Nobunaga. Who do you fight for? That spirit?
I have met men who have fought, struggled, and died to create a world without war, where people and spirits can coexist in harmony. I fight for them.
Lord Nobunaga told me that he would make me a true samurai someday. But he died before it could happen. It seems you have achieved it on your own.
The Gamer Gods!